Live. Hey, everyone. Carmine Dinisco here on the Launch platform. We are talking about the UIA, the workshops we've been doing. We've been doing some great stuff here. I have my co-host, Mr. Warren Tuttle, with me, and we have an awesome show planned for today. Hey, Warren, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, we do have an awesome show today, and I can't wait to get started. But we've got some great things going on. Carmine, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I've been waiting, been practicing, getting everything going. We're live on YouTube for anyone that's listening in. We welcome everyone. And if you can, please subscribe to the show. I just wanted to get that in real quick for you, Warren.
Yeah. So we're getting to a little cooler weather up here in Connecticut. So I'm switching to a blazer now. It's winter fall outfit. But we are now in week 2 of our 10-week UIA educational webinar series. Last week we talked about licensing with Angela Grayson, which is an awesome show. Thanks, Carmine, for hosting that. And next week we're going to go on to talk about trade shows. I am the world's biggest proponent of trade shows, so we're going to lay that out for you. And then actually the week after that, Carmine, we go right into the virtual hardware show. And so the next week's show will be great to prep people. And then we're going to do some pitch panels and some special stuff the following week with the, as you well know, with the Reed folks in the hardware show.
Awesome.
So that's what's coming up.
Yeah, it scares me sometimes when I say, hey, Warren, what's going on? Because you got a lot of stuff happening.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on. We also have something for the Inventor Club leaders next week with the USPTO. And, I'm on this new National Council for the Empowerment of American Innovation. I'm on pro bono. So there's all types of great things going on. And but today's show, Carmen, if I can run right into it, because this is what we're here for today. We've got 2 superstars on today, Jimmy DiResta, and we've got Tom Gray.
Nice.
Hey, and Tom, I'm going to go with Jimmy with you first to introduce yourself. But Tom is the CEO of Make48, and it's the best television show going today. It's certainly the best inventor television show going today. And he's put this together from scratch. We're in season 4. Season 4 was filmed in Kansas City back in March at Union Station. But Jimmy is the star of the show. Tom, we'll get to you in a second. Jimmy's the star of the show and the host of the show. And for those who aren't familiar with him, he's one of the top DIYers in the country and a YouTube superstar. So Jimmy, hello, welcome. And maybe tell us about what you're up to.
Guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for having me on the show. It was a wonderful time. And I make things my whole life. That's all I've ever done is make things, design, develop, invent. Considering we're in the inventor environment right now, I have about 25 patents, and none of which are actually active. But I've been in the toy business since 1990, designing and developing toys. And now I'm in I guess you could say the content business. I create content on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram channel. And I make videos of me making things that inspire other young designers and inventors. And so that's what I'm up to.
So tell me a little bit about that, about the YouTube outreach, because you're like a superstar in this arena and you have a huge following. So maybe just talk for a minute about how that works.
Well, on YouTube, I make things and I film myself making them and I inspire people. And people always say, how do you make money on YouTube? How do you make money on YouTube? It's really just a matter of how many eyeballs you can collect. So if I have a lot of eyeballs, then you can monetize those eyeballs, either with ad placement in the videos or a passive income that's always ever present is YouTube's AdSense. If you opt in, you could opt in or opt out. It's entirely up to you as a YouTube creator. You can opt in, and then for every million views, roughly give or take, depends on how they monetize your channel. For every million views, you get about $1,000 in commission, and they take a large portion of that. So you never really know how much they take. And those are the ads that people see in front of any video on YouTube, or the ones that run in the middle. And as a creator, it's up to me to decide where I want them. I typically
is Kardashian your middle name or anything? I mean,
no, not yet. I wish. I still earn every dollar I make. I do a lot of client work. Right now I'm working for Bullet Bourbon. I'm making these phony teardrop trailers that go inside of all retail shops, and then they become I'm trying to get the glare off my glasses. They become the shelving units that carry Bullet Bourbon in the store display. So I'm making those right now, and a lot of times I will take genuine client jobs and I'll turn them into fodder for DIY video, because it's a real job and fans get to see how I design and develop, from a concept. Most of my clients come to me with a drawing on paper or, a CGI drawing without any engineering. And they say, we need to make 10 of these by the end of next month. How can we do that? And then I'll break it down. I'll do all the illustration. I typically work in Illustrator. I make all the files, and then we take that into cut paths if that's what's necessary. Sometimes I'm casting material. Sometimes I'm CNCing. Sometimes I'm just straight up building traditional methods like building a shelving unit, or sometimes I make tables. So I like to think of myself as I can handle anything that comes through the door. It's just a matter of how much time they have and what their budget is.
And you've done some things with Lowe's, right, in the past?
Oh yeah, I do. Like as time goes on with a big channel, I'm closing in on 2 million. I'm somewhere in the area of like 1.9, 1.8 million subscribers on my YouTube channel. With big audiences come the attraction of big retailers and advertisers, and Lowe's and I worked together for probably about a year, 2 years ago, and you know, these advertisers come and go, and you know, it's all a matter of what their budgets are. I've worked with DeWalt. I have an ongoing relationship with Lincoln Electric, so I do a lot of welding videos.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Yeah, a couple of abrasive companies.
Do you shoot them all up at your place? I mean, you have.
I shoot pretty much everything by myself. I have somewhere in the vicinity across 4 channels. I have somewhere in the vicinity of about 600 YouTube videos up online, and I've shot just about 98% of them, 99% of them myself, and edited them myself.
Wow. That's really cool. That's really cool stuff. Well, we're going to talk to you a lot more during the show, but let's introduce Tom Gray to everybody. Tom is a real good friend. He served for many years on the nonprofit UIA board and is the creator and CEO of Make48. Welcome, Tom. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about the launch of the show.
Warren, thanks for having me. I know we were on a big conference last night, so I've seen you twice in a couple of days, but good to see you boys. Good to see you, Jimmy, Carmine. Yeah, I'm one of the co-creators of Make48. We're obviously an invention show, giving teams 48 hours to build a physical prototype, but they have the luxury of using a Makerspace and using tool technicians, people not as talented as Jimmy, but there's a lot of people with talent out there. A lot of them have one skill set that they're very good at, and we like to bring them all together to help the inventors create whatever's in their head. So just like the real invention world, it's all about collaboration. Not many people can do it themselves. Jimmy is actually one of those very skillful people who can do a lot of different skill sets. So welding and all that, and Jimmy can see something in his mind and just think it out and build it. That is very unheard of. Most people are good at one thing or two things, but you have to collaborate with other people to build your invention. So, yep, Make48 is all about that, and teaching people the process, what it takes to get idea from your head.
Tell people who may be unfamiliar. First of all, Make48 season 4 is airing right now. So check your local TV listings in your local PBS markets and make sure you pick it up. How many parts of the series, Tom? How many shows?
For every season, we have 10 episodes. And with season 4, 8 episodes are all about the competition itself. The 48 hours equals 8 episodes. And then we take the winning team and advance their product.
So you've got these teams, you're in season 4, and I know you've done some, this year was at Kansas City, but you've done them before at the Smithsonian, right? In Washington, D.C. and in other locations. So you move around the country. So just tell people a little bit about the teams, the makeup, how they might apply in the future for you, and then how the show kind of runs out.
Yeah, the teams can be made up of up to 4 people per team. We see all different backgrounds, so there's no experience needed. The luxury of using the tool technicians is they build it for you. But we see a lot of families, we see a lot of best friends putting teams together. We see design firms, a lot of student teams from colleges. And you can apply generally online. Some exciting news about the future for season 5, we're actually doing a 10-city stop. So we're actually going to be doing Make48s in 10 different cities. And you have to be at the local event at the city level, and the winning team will actually advance to be at season 5. So we're getting a lot of people all over the nation saying, how can we do one at our Makerspace? How can we do one at our college? So this is our way of growing the brand and letting people at local level be a part of a Make48.
That's awesome. So, and I want to get back to Jimmy and his experience as host, but last question. So you've got these 10 teams and you've got up to 4 people They come into Kansas City, you organize them. Just real quick, you know, I know they've got to sort of come up with the idea. They've got to prototype it. They've got to market it, all these things in part of the competition. Just run really through what the competition is and how you as a judge vote on the winner.
Yeah, good point. So at the very beginning of the competition, we give them a challenge category. So these teams have no idea what they have to build. And in this last season, Jimmy told them what they had to build. It was a category of storage solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were some subcategories that they must hit and meet to meet the judging criteria. Throughout the 48 days, they've got to strategize. They've got to look at IP that's out there on the marketplace, so they have access to patent attorneys to see that they're not infringing. We take them to a hardware store. We went to True Value, and they got to spend money on anything they wanted to help build their prototype. They then build nonstop until their prototype is built. After they've built their prototype, they've got to make a 1-minute video to explain what their product does. And they've got to make a sales sheet. And at the end of all that, they're tired, they're burned out. It's 48 hours later. They've got a judging panel and live cameras filming them. And they've got to do an 8-minute pitch to try to win the $10,000 prize money.
Wow. Wow. So you guys are all going to have to jump in and watch the show to see how it progresses and who wins. But hey, Jimmy, let's come back to you. So you're the host and the star of the show. I had a chance to go out. You did an awesome job. What was that like, being the lead guy, and what was your interaction like with the contestants?
Oh, it's always great working with young inventors because they're always so eager to figure things out. You know, it's also it's great to have an opportunity also to teach young inventors. You know, don't go for low-hanging fruit and how to get outside of their own way. And, you know, don't go for the obvious idea. You know, it's like whenever you hang out with young inventors or new inventors, they always think they got it solved like in the first 5 seconds. And then you come to find out like everybody at the table or everybody in the room has the same idea. So it's nice to kind of guide them and get them outside of that inner ring where they think they have it solved. So it's just really nice to share my experience with young inventors and just to see them flourish and figure it out. You know, even though somebody might not win the competition, they go away with a whole bunch of learning. And I think that's ever present throughout the whole environment of the show, that, you know, people are going to go home. Obviously not everyone's going to be a winner, but everyone's going to definitely learn something in the process that they'll carry with them for the rest of their inventing career.
Well, we really appreciate all your support and helping and doing that and helping people. Well, turn it around for a second. How would you like to be a contestant on the show? Have you done that, figured out an idea within a couple of hours and off to the races? Is that something that you do?
You know, I have challenged myself. Well, you know, I've done probably about 100 half hours of television, and every one of those is an invention that has to look cool on camera, you know, whether it's just a table that has to, you know, solve the needs of looking good and having some sort of fancy aspect, or to something crazy that does some crazy brand new mechanism. So I've been on that pressure several times, having been like a build host for television. So I find it extremely interesting to be challenged like that. A lot of times when I get involved with a television show, people will say like, well, what do you want to build? I was like, you know what, frankly, you tell me what you want me to build. And it's more interesting for me to problem solve something cold than me to come in and give you something like I'm comfortable making. I'd rather be on the hot seat.
You're like a chef, right? You're kind of like a chef. Give you the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like a lot of people do say that about my design capability. They say you're like Iron Chef. You look around and see what scraps you have and what you could make with it.
Yeah, you should have that. Well, let's just talk about. So, you know, obviously people have to come up with the idea, and you know, the groups are coming up at different speeds. But let's just for a second go past that and get to the prototyping part. So one of the big things they have to do is try to convert their idea into something real. And Tom was just giving you kudos for having the unique ability to visualize them. But tell me about prototypes, your thoughts about them, and how important it is to the process.
Well, I think one thing that's really important, especially with the young inventors, they all, like right now, the time in our current culture is everybody thinks 3D printing is the solution. 3D printing takes a really long time. It's really more than anything for like a finished, really thought through part. So I think as far as prototyping, you got to get hot glue, cardboard, plastic tubes, that type of stuff to really get prototypes going straight away, especially in a 48-hour environment. If you have all the time in the world, 3D print 50 things. You know, they might take a day each, but a lot of people, and I know it's hosted 3D printing companies there. Like I said, I like to see people go to 3D printing only if they have a very confident idea that the little widget they're going to print is basically the widget, you know, at least for, you know, the first several weeks of the invention. When I say weeks, every invention goes through maturity. And, you know, if you think you could bridge a couple of design iterations with this one part, then go for it. But if you're going to have to like 3D print it and then take it and 3D print it, you know, that's not really the solution. So
your curiosity, like your natural curiosity, as you come up with an idea and the light bulb goes off, are you then excited to see how it turns out as a prototype, or do you learn things as you're building the prototype that are invaluable to you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the prototyping, you know, obviously like a huge part of many inventions is the material itself, like what the material is, you know, like the heart of what the invention is. So whether you're using plastic, resin, leather, whatever it might be, you know, it's good to start out with thing. If it's a mechanical, physical thing, then, you know, work with cardboard, work out your actions, and then go to like cutting metal, then go to cutting plastic, especially if materials are at a limit. So it's, I think it's really important for a young inventor to know how to sketch, to know how to use scissors, you know, how to use, like, I mean, a lot of times I'll work out mechanical movements, just pinning paper to the table. I'll get some push pins and I'll push pin this and I'll push pin that. And I'll be like, oh, okay. So that's what happens when that does that. That solves my problem, or that doesn't solve my problem. I need to add another linkage somewhere in there so I get more action out of this action. So, you know, a lot of times it's just having the ability to just be super loose and be free and easy. And, you know, a lot of times, like I said, I keep calling them young inventors. They jump right to the finish. They think, you know, they're going to get it done in the first round. I remember I had a funny story with a young inventor who's a young designer. He's an old man, but he was his first time designing a chair. He drew a chair on a napkin and he gave it to me. And he goes, so this is exactly what I want. I go, that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what I want. And so I blew it up and we CNC'd it. And it was like a chair for, you know, somebody that weighed 500 pounds laterally and, you know, was this tall. And I go, that's what you drew. Exactly. He didn't think I cheated him in any way. He's like, wow, this is so wrong. I'm like, that's why you got to do iterations and iterations and iterations and iterations. You know, the essence of what you drew, we can keep, but there's certain mechanical things that have to be met.
And so I love that. I love that mechanical angle. So Tom, back to you on prototypes, just continuing off that, you know, there's, you know, this idea that you could just take an idea and send it into a company, and then the company's going to somehow turn that into something, right? I mean, there's that missing step that Jimmy's just talking about, that inventing step. Can you talk a little bit about prototyping from your perspective and what you've learned on that front as well?
Yeah, so actually what Jimmy was saying is really interesting, because even Jimmy, the most advanced inventor out there, still has to go back to the drawing board and do these baby steps no matter what he's building. So that goes to show that there is no middle gap where you get good and you just build stuff and it comes out perfect. So yeah, my experience is a company doesn't want to do all of that work of prototyping it 10 times over. They want to see it done by the inventor, and because it takes years. It often takes years to get your invention perfected. By the time you build it, tweak it again, then it's ready and you've proven it works. That's when you're ready to take it to a company, and that's just standard. And I think, Jimmy, you've probably dealt with that over the years, been a toy designer. You can't take a drawing to a company and say, here it is, pay me a royalty.
You know, there apparently once was a time when that was a little bit more easy, but to really solidify, to land an invention, to land a sale, to land a home for your invention, it's best for you to figure it completely out, walk in the door, and then all they have to do is say, I'm on board.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good point. I've thought about that many times. I think maybe there was a time 20 years ago that it might have been easier. Things don't seem, you know, Tom, any easier today. I know at the companies I work with, if you just send in an idea, it's not going anywhere. Everybody might talk a good game, but in reality, I've never had a product that's advanced to licensing or any success at all that's just been on an idea basis. But I think that's what you teach. Or Jimmy, if you want to take that one. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, whenever I'm trying to sell an invention, regardless of what it is, what I want to do is put it in the hands of whoever I believe is going to want it, whether it's a company or even just one of my fans. And I want them to think it already exists. I want them to like pick it up and go, oh, this is, wow, where did you get this? This is an automatic knife. And I go,
holy crap. What is
it? That's my invention and you could own it. They're like, oh, you mean you didn't buy this from the store? Nope. This is the only one that exists, and you could have it if you want to market it.
Jimmy, I'm happy that you're well armed up there.
So that's kind of my thing. It's like, here, play with this doodad. Oh, wow, this is really cool. Where did you buy this? That's the only one that exists, and you could market it if you like. So as opposed to coming in with newspaper prints and blueprints and saying, what if what should it be made out of? You know, people want to just shoot your idea down. Even when you're in a meeting and everybody wants to win, they want to shoot your idea down. They don't want it. They don't, you know, there's this inherent thing within us that we don't want to see people win. So you want to get through all that mud by just showing them the product and say,
really good.
Here.
That's really, really well said. So Tom, no one in their right mind would say, build a prototype on every single idea you have. I mean, it's just an idea, right? But at what point does that idea to turn into something where it's important to then build a prototype? I mean, that's what we're really talking about when it comes to prototyping.
Yeah, I find that a lot of inventors come to me and say, I've got 50 ideas. Which ones do you want? That means nothing. Those people aren't inventors, they're dreamers,
Right.
And they shouldn't be speaking. The real inventors are the ones that have been inventing their product for 4 or 5 years and perfecting it quietly.
Yeah.
And they're still passionate about it. It's like a business decision when you go start a company and a year later you think, gosh, I'm glad I did not start that company because that's a bad idea. But in 2 or 3 years, it's still in your heart to start that company. It's exactly the same with invention.
Mm-hmm.
If an inventor creates 2 inventions in their world and follows through with them, that's a high quality inventor compared to someone that just comes up with an idea every day. It doesn't work like that.
Quality, not quantity, right? I mean, you'd say so. One of the things great about the show is then you bring in folks like Andrea and patent attorneys. So as they've got the idea, now they're building a prototype, they're working through it. Now they check with the IP attorneys on the show, which is really cool. Tom, just talk about that for a second, about the what they bring to the table and what people learn. And by the way, and maybe Jimmy, you can follow afterwards. When you're turning that idea into a prototype, you're learning things about the mechanics, which really are the basis for your patent claims. Can you just talk about that subject for a minute?
Me or Tom?
Well, let's start with Tom, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so the patent attorneys is really interesting because whenever someone creates a new invention, you've got to do a lot of homework yourself first, and you've got Google, you've got the internet. It's amazing how many people bring me an invention or an idea, and I Google that category, and I'm like, have you seen it already exists in 3 different stores? And they have no idea. And you don't want to invest your money. I see a lot of people invest their money to find out that it already exists, and they've just wasted all that money. So patent attorneys early in our competition is vital to do your research. I'll let Jimmy speak on the mechanics because a lot of people get very confused with a patent, thinking it covers the whole invention. Most patents out there do not cover an invention. They cover a part of an invention.
Yeah.
And that's all it covers. But it's very confusing for the outside person to know that.
Well,
so go ahead, Jimmy.
It's funny, it's sometimes it's hard to convince somebody that's not, I mean, I'm talking to all you guys, you know this extremely well. When you meet someone that is so in love with their invention, they don't want to hear reason. They don't want to hear rational conversation. And my experience recently was, I was given a concept, and I'll tell you what I within minutes. I Googled. I was like, hey, we need someone to make this prototype. These guys said they would do it for $30,000. What would you charge? And like, just from the description, I'm like, it's like a day's worth of work, you know, just to get a breadboard. And then, so I Googled his concept, and the first thing that popped up, and I could say what it is because it's on the market. It's not a secret. It's a mask that translates. You wear a mask out and about. And if I speak English, the other side of the microphone comes out Japanese.
Oh, that's wild.
Now, I don't know if that's out or not, but it's been published 5 different ways in a couple of articles. These students are making this product. And because of that, I told my friend his invention is basically, you know, already out there. And he's like, no, but mine's different. Like this does essentially exactly what yours is going to do. And this apparently has already been run down the road, and there's several articles on this college that's doing this thing. So I think you should just invent in another area, or no. I think I have something different.
Well, if you go out to the electronics show in January and go to Eureka Park, you would have seen about 20 of those. Okay. So they're all.
And then, you know, like, again, without giving away his inventions out of respect, when you have 1,000 people mumbling to each other with masks on, and you have a world of 100,000 inventors, what are they going to invent?
Right. But Jimmy, let's talk about that moment when Tom's 100% right, that, you know, you're talking about claims for a patent. So you're building a little invention, and a lot of it may be commonplace, but there might be one significant thing, like how it attaches to something, or how it stretches or something. What do you do when you come across that magic moment, and you're thinking about commercialization? What are your thoughts on IP and stuff?
Well, I because of the current world that I live in, where I could flood an audience, or at least I can flood the market very quickly, at least whatever, I could sell 2,000 of a something in a week if I needed to my fans. I tell people, especially people that are, have an audience, I'm like, just sell it. Don't, unless it's like a super knockoffable widget, no one's going to go down the road to knock off what you do. And then if you could establish yourself and patent it as you go,
yeah,
I think that's the way to market it, and then get it perfected and market it. I'm crazy. I give away a million, like hanging out with Andrea every time, and she's like, "You published that video?" I'm like, "You're crazy."
That's a really good thing. So I want to talk about that because I'm on the other side of open innovation, where the company's licensed and they want to have collateral. But you bring up a great point, and I've always thought about this because I've gone to a lot of maker meetings. My daughter belongs to the Makerspace up in New Haven, and the maker community is more like you are, where they're out just building things and not getting really tied down. And a lot of them are younger and spirited, but they don't know a lot about intellectual property. Is that your sense too? I mean, I think the show in some cases brings the inventor community together with the maker community in some ways, but what do you think?
I mean, I find a lot of people covet invention still. Like I get people all the time, they're like, "Hey, I was working on this thing and I came up with this new way to put a hinge on a door. I don't want to show it. Like, what should I do?" I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I always encourage people to market I go, if you want to be an inventor, invent something that your mother could use, your father could use, your sister and your brother could use. You're inventing a thing that puts a door hinge on. If you're going to invest all your time and energy in that one little thing, now you're only working on guys that install doors. Right. And you've limited your market. If you really want to be somebody that markets ideas, come up with an idea that is something that's, that's used in the kitchen where everybody can use it. So that's what I always encourage new inventors. I don't know if that answers your question. I forgot what the question.
Well, it's cool. And I when I do things for my family, though, they never pay for it. So I've given up on them.
No, but like when I meet a young inventor or somebody that, in the makerspace that has invented something, I say, you know what, invent 7 more things before you start pursuing this concept.
For sure. And the idea of licensing and monetizing is sort of a separate conversation. We're talking more about the creation side of things right now.
I tell people, if you really want to be an inventor, invent, like, let's say you're comfortable in this tool area. If you invented another way to install a hinge, invent 7 more things that go around installing a door or a door jamb, and then really exercise your brain. And then this way, if you go to, a Cobalt or somebody that, you're not just walking in and wasting everyone's time with one idea that they're already developing. You can come in and you could have 7 ideas and say, "Oh, you don't like this one? What about this works better with this one with it?" And you go, "Oh, okay. Maybe we have a plan here."
We got to get you out to the hardware show to talk to all our, we do the inventor booth pavilion at the hardware show with 175 booths. We got to get you talking to all those folks. But Tom, let's continue just with the format of the show. So you ideation, and then you build prototypes, and then you look into the intellectual property angle. Once you start to come together on the show, I think the next thing is they're filming a video, right? By the way, you need a prototype to fill a video, right? But isn't that the next step? Sell sheets and videos. Maybe talk about that in the show.
Yeah. So once you've got your prototype working, looking pretty good, some of your team members should be going away and strategizing what your sales video is going to be, because you got to write, generally got to write a bit of a storyboard. You got to have a plan. Who's going to act in it? What's the script? How are you going to do a demonstration quick? And those videos are actually played during the judging. And it's probably one of the best parts of judging is to see how creative people get. And some people take the very serious route of explaining it almost like an educational video. And some do the as seen on TV and crap's flying off the shelf and it's gray and it's color and it's gray. And then it's like, wow, we're seeing it all today, and the crowd's laughing like crazy, but the video is selling your invention. It doesn't matter how good your invention is sitting in your hands. If you haven't come up with a creative way to educate the world outside of you of what it does and explaining it pretty quick, then you're never going to sell it.
And so what makes a good video? I mean, what makes it good? Like, how long should it be or not be? And what, in terms of benefits, what do you suggest?
No one wants. Yeah. When it comes to video, explaining to a buyer or to someone trying to license your product, no one wants to watch any more than a minute when it comes to that kind of thing. And if you talk about a minute or two about what the product's going to do before you do a demonstration, you already lost their interest. It is straight to the point, do a demonstration with the product and show it being used very quickly. And straight away, a buyer's going to go, yep, that makes sense. Or a judge is going to go, yep, that makes sense. I get it. Don't talk about the crap. That can come later. It's 1 minute video, nothing fancy, no fun, no giggles. Just get straight to the point, educate the buyer, and that's it.
So Jimmy, when you're doing your videos, do you usually use some sort of working prototype to film them, or what's
well, most of the videos are about the product
Right.
that I'm making. It's about the process of making it.
Okay.
There have been a couple of like physical mechanical things, like I've done like a wood chopper guy, like, you know, like a whirly gig. I've done a couple of those where it's kind of more mechanical things. I've done like, for instance, I happen to have this in front of me. I did a beer cozy recently, which isn't really a patentable idea. I would imagine there's no patentability here, but the idea of making this, laser cutting, this is more about the manufacturing process, laser cutting it flat and then water forming it around the can so that the can doesn't slip through. So I water form it so that, you know, it has a little roll under lip on the bottom. So stuff like that, I'm always showing really more like, if you were going to watch my videos, you would get a lot of tips in prototyping. And you know, of course, I try to make an intriguing invention or whatever it is, even if it's just a physical, you know, engineering job. I want it to be, I want people to watch this and go, oh, that applies to this thing that I've been wanting to make. Or
So
I want to make that in general. I never wanted to before. Now I do. That kind of thing.
Sure. Now, but people watching today, Jimmy, where do you have a website that you can tell them that they can go and watch all your collection of videos?
Oh yeah, I'm on YouTube. You just Google my name, Jimmy DiResta, within YouTube. I'm on, that's like my most prominent social media platform. And then I'm on Instagram, and then jimmydiresta.com.
That's cool. And it'd be fun for people to go back and take a look at what you're doing and start following you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
So Tom, let's go back, and then I want to get Jimmy's summary of what it was like to be one of the, but we then go to the judging, right? Just mechanically, how did the judging work? And then I want to get Jimmy's comments on what it was like to witness all that. So Tom, how did the judging work? Who were the judges? And
the judges for season 4 were myself, Adam Smith from Wet and Forget. He's a really good product guy that's taken a lot of products to retail, and Kimberly from Inc. magazine. So Kimberly has a great background on entrepreneurs and startups. So she gave really good feedback. So the teams have to come out obviously one by one. They got 8 minutes once they're ready to start. They can do as many minutes as they want as the pitch, but if they run out of time, there's no Q&A. So we tell them to sort of 2 to 3 minute pitch maximum. Play your video. I like to see the video at the beginning of the pitch because then I can understand what their pitch is about pretty quickly. And then it's Q&A. And then we ask questions. We do not, we're not mean. It's not Shark Tank type of stuff. It's, at the same time, it's critical information they need to know, you know. We give them a couple of hard questions in there, but it's not hard stuff.
And do you do that judging in front of, is that in front of a whole audience that's watching the judging? So it's live kind of?
Yeah, it's a live audience. All the other teams are in that room. There's about up to 100 people in the room watching. So it's not a big crowd. It's everyone that's involved in that event. The tool techs are there. Yeah. Of course, half the people are pretty sleepy because it's 48 hours in there. This is the finale, but they're running on adrenaline. There's a lot of nerves. There's always a lot of nerves with that kind of stuff. And that's just normal. And then, of course, there's a co-host, Jimmy and Zyla, that keep the show flowing, and a great MC, and Sean Murphy. So I think it's a good wee setup.
Oh, Sean is incredible. He's unbelievable.
He's a good guy, Sean. Yeah.
You guys are great. And Jimmy, so Jimmy, you're the main person there. And now are you, as you looking at all these things come together, because it's a small quarters, are you like in your mind thinking, I know the one that's going to win, or do you have any involvement? Are you?
Yeah, well, you know, we all pick favorites, but, you know, I try to be even handed. I don't want to discourage somebody that I know is going to lose, you know, because they might not be up to speed with their prototype, or their marketing is horrible, or, you know, that, you know, there's always those people that think their invention is great, regardless of what the research tells them. You know, so I just try and be as even handed as possible with everybody, but going into the final rounds, I must say, I mean, I was definitely a little surprised. I didn't expect, you know, I expected one thing, but we got something different, but without giving too much away, it was exciting. I get like a little bit of heart race in the end, because you're like, oh, you know?
Now, what is it like to be the host, you know, and the show comes on and, you're watching it with your friends and you're the host, right? I mean, isn't that kind of
Yeah, well, I've been down that road a bit. You know, I remember 18 years ago, I did my first television show. It was on the FX Fox network. And it was really fun. I mean, I always tell this story. It's kind of heartwarming. The very first night it was on, I got one phone call. I didn't get a call from my parents. I didn't get a call from any close friends. I got one call from my most influential teacher at our college. And he said, congratulations. So like, that was really heartwarming that, you know, and he calls me every once in a long while to say hello. I mean, he was my teacher in the 80s. And we're still in touch. So I always remember that. That was like my very first foray into TV. Was like somebody very sentimental to me called me to congratulate me, and I was 3,000 miles away. He said, "Good job, buddy." So,
where did you go to art school? In New York?
I went to New York City's School of Visual Arts, and I taught there for another 24 years once I graduated.
And I have a personal question. Did you ever shop at Abraham and Strauss?
I did. Yeah, sure.
They've
been out of business for like 1,000 years, though, haven't they?
Yeah, I was a buyer there.
Oh, right on. Were they up on like Madison and Lexington or something?
Well, no, the main store was on Fulton Street in Brooklyn, and we were the biggest store in the world. We had stores all over Long Island, but I was the first person from Connecticut to ever become a buyer there.
Oh, right on.
But
hey, Warren.
Yeah.
Hey, Warren. Really quick. So Jimmy's been on a lot bigger shows, and he's good friends with Nick Offerman, and Jimmy's been on Making It for every season, right, Jimmy?
Yeah. I'm emailing right now. They need a welder for one of the contestants. So I'm texting them, getting them a welder. I go out October 12th. I go out to California. We begin Making It season 3.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So, well, listen, there's just so much more I could ask, but Carmine, I'd love to bring you in here if you've got a couple of questions, or more importantly, if we've got some questions in the queue, you know, from our audience today.
Yeah. We definitely have some questions coming in. Everybody on YouTube is loving the information. Great stuff. So for first question, either one of you guys, I guess, can answer it maybe better for Tom, but how do you pick the actual contestants? Do you, what's the pool? How many people you get that apply?
Yeah, so in the past, Carmine, we've always done online applying. So teams have to come together personally, make their own 1-minute video of why they want to be on Make48. Tell us about your experience. Can you make products? Have you ever invented anything? So over the years, the pool's grown pretty big. I think we had 120 applicant teams last time. We could only pick 10. But moving forward with our city by city, we obviously have already got a big list of people in different cities that want to apply. So that's how you apply moving forward.
Cool. That's awesome. Hey, and one came in for Jimmy. It said, was there any kind of funny mishaps, either, off camera or that didn't show up on the show?
Let me see. Nobody got hurt, right? No, I don't think so. No, I mean,
well, the cameras don't catch people getting hurt, Jimmy. You know that. They don't catch those bad parts.
But it's such a whirlwind. It's like when you see it, the visual in my mind is like, do you ever see like in the cartoons where it shows like the puff of smoke and it rises up a building being built? And then the building's done and all the people that were building it from the ground up, like that's what the workshop was like. It was just a buzz of activity the entire time. So what the cameras were catching, what ultimately made it to the final edit, like nothing stands out as anything other than just people just constantly moving, getting things manufactured, rather cut on the CNC or, just hot glue and stuff together. So it was just this.
You do have an incredible group, Carmine, there, because I was witnessing the whole thing, and you've got these techs that are helping with the engineering issues. You've got videographers are videoing the whole thing and then also teaching their such. It's just a wild scene. But I will add this, Tom, that every day at lunch, I snuck upstairs for one of those cheeseburgers up there on Union Station. They were the best I've ever had in my life.
You keep talking about that, Warren. That must have been your highlight of your show. Filet mignon burgers, right?
But you know what? I found out the secret. I got the chef to come out there. They were filet mignon. They chopped up filet mignon. That's how you make a good hamburger. You start with filet mignon. So I'm sorry, Carmen. Go ahead.
Now I'm getting hungry because of you. One of the other questions that came in, and I think you guys kind of answered this, was what percentage is the biggest total for the winners? Is it creativity? Is it design? Is it the pitch? What's one of the biggest things that you guys judge on?
It's a bit of everything. They must meet the criteria that we gave them. And an example of criteria is it must be between $19 and $29. So if they've made a widget that's $2, well, they're going to score badly on that category. There's definitely points for the pitch. And that's a big part of it, because if you can't get your message across, that can often be the downfall of your product scoring high.
A big
it's a range
emphasis on marketing, I believe. A big emphasis on marketing, and like, because so many people have good inventions, they just don't know how to market them, or even like, they might have a great invention, but it's the type of thing that might cost $500 to make, and you're never going to be able to sell it,
And the other big thing you look at is, we're looking at, can this product actually go to market? Because if you've got a product that's going to cost $5 million to manufacture, well, that's not going to score very good, because that's a lot of risk someone has to take. And if you've got a product that's really complex that you have to demonstrate for a minute before you understand how it works, that's not ever going to fare well in retail or anywhere for that matter. So simple products is always a good scoring system that we use. But yeah, there's a lot of things. There's 10 categories we judge.
I always like to say the winner's the one that makes the most money. So
Yeah,
let's see which
you're right.
one does it. All of them have I know mentoring the teams, they all have a vision of going to market, after the show. So we'll see.
That's funny. Well, one of the questions was, have any of the products gone to market?
Yeah, there's been 2 or 3 go to market. They haven't been big successes. We're working with a small pool of products at the end of it. I think the success rate of a product is well under 1%, but that's a prototype product. So we're only getting 10 per series. Yeah. There's definitely potential. Some of them had a lot of manufacturing issues. One of them was over $350,000 was the estimated R&D cost to make a final prototype. So we sort of see that on the back half of the series. We get to see that during the competition. But it's like one of those things, taking a product to market and succeeding is very rare. Taking a product to market now is actually quite easy, because you've got Amazon. And getting your product on Amazon is simple. There's no insurance. You don't need a big warehouse full of stock. Getting it to sell and being a continuous seller is becoming very, very tough. And that's just reality.
Well, there's a couple of products, Carmen, from this season I'm taking a close look at.
Well, as Jimmy said, you can make a product, but you still, it's a job. You have to still be able to market it and sell it, and that's a job in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So that was really the most of the questions that came in. There was one that just basically came in, and they said, is it hard to handle the logistics? I guess getting people in there that help between getting products and components and parts and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's putting these events on as a 6-month strategy and planning, and there's 140 people involved in every event, and everyone has a role to play. So yeah, it's something that I have to do, and I personally make sure I invite the right people. There's a lot of dishonest people out there, especially in the invention world, that are not allowed to come near what we do, because that's not our mission. Giving experience is a big key factor, right? Whether you're a tool tech or you're a mentor, is you've got to be able to guide these people and have experience doing it. You can't have read a book or heard through the grapevine of how inventions work. You got to have people on that show that know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, what I love, what you talked about, and also what Jimmy talked about, was prototyping, even if it's just some, prototype that you did, but it's not as easy as people make it out to be. They think, oh, I'm just going to have this idea, I'm going to draw it out, and I'm just going to get $1 million because it's so easy. And that's what I think a lot of what you guys are showing on TV, that it's not easy. It takes a team, it takes thought, it takes a process. And it's so great that people are seeing that live on camera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. You did right. It's all about process, and it's never a quick, rich system. I don't know one person that's made a lot. There's people that made money, don't get me wrong, but there is 20,000 people that failed before that person.
Yeah.
That you don't hear about, because no one wants to talk about failure.
It's a numbers game. Yeah, for sure. But Tom, how do people who are watching today, I know they would go on their local TV, I used to say TV guides, right, Jimmy, back in the day? But find out their local PBS affiliate. I had to do it. You find it.
Yeah.
How can they watch maybe shows they've missed, or even previous seasons?
Yes, so season 4 is currently playing around the country, but every city plays it on their own schedule. So it's pretty tough to find it if it hasn't come out yet in your local city, if that makes sense. But it's coming out in over 95% of American homes this season. The simple way to do it is go to Make48.com, and on there you'll watch the TV, and you can click and watch any episode you want. It's all there via pbs.org. So feel free to watch any episode. Best way to watch it.
Now, how did you get Jimmy to come and do your show? I just want to hear that.
Well, Jimmy's
That
a chicken
hamburger.
farmer, so we
That hamburger.
yeah.
You keep talking about, Warren, that hamburger. That's what got me over there.
That's right. You remember Gage and Connors, Jimmy in Brooklyn? Remember that?
Jimmy and I happened to meet. I think we met actually through an introduction through Shopbot.
Oh yeah.
And of course we've got a close relationship now forming with Workbench Con, which Jimmy's a big part of that conference. It's a lot of the YouTube creators.
Yep.
And funny enough, Jimmy's about to be on another big concept with us coming up in January to build an amazing product for charity. So it's good relationships all around. But the making world is very different than the invention world, but they do belong together along that track.
Hey Jimmy, could you just say a few words about Workbench and then how that fits in? Yeah.
Oh, Workbench Con is an event that happens in Atlanta. It's happened, I think, 3 years in a row now in Atlanta. Kristen runs it. Kristen Stockdale runs the event. She was her brainchild, and she brings together influencers on YouTube, Instagram, and just general people that vlog with potential people that want to learn about that or want to meet people that do that. So it's just a big conference where there's people that have never done it and want to do it, get involved in the DIY influencer market, and people that are already in it like me that want to share information with newcomers. And again, just ever present is other potential advertisers and companies to rub elbows with. It's a really, if of all the things I've ever done in my life, it really reminds me of that old timey like convention thing that you would see like on like sitcoms, like I'm going to a convention, honey, and then people have fun and they make friends and
they bring water balloons. Yeah, you bring your water balloons, drop them out of the windows.
Exactly. So Workbench Con for 3 years in a row has been fantastic, and I spoke at each one of them, and it's been great. And
now, what about? Do you guys know Dale Dougherty and Make Magazine? And
I do. Yeah, I know Dale.
And that's pretty impressive effort what he put together over the years.
Unbelievable. He basically, he kicked off a movement with that magazine and the Maker Fairs 10 years in a row, and everything has its, everything's an S curve. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Right now, they're kind of having a little bit of a struggle getting back up. But Dale owns all the property, and they've started again from zero because they got some investors. And when you get investors, you got to be careful because they give you a lot of money and they prop you up, and then you're not meeting their needs, and then they just go away, and then you're propped all the way up here and you fall. And so Make Magazine is building back. Thankfully, the skeleton crew of diehard, loyal employees are there.
Once I met him at the New York Maker Fair, and he's out in California, about 50 miles north of San Francisco. And he said, if you're ever out here, stop by. So I just jumped on a plane and went out and stopped and just for the sole purpose of driving up and meeting him. And he was in. I spent about 4 hours, and he was terrific. He was awesome.
Yeah, he's a sweet dude, and like I said, he really created a movement that's impacted so many lives in a positive way, including mine.
No, that's awesome. And it's awesome, Jimmy, what you're doing and all the teaching that you're doing. Everybody go out to Jimmy DiResta, look that up on Google or anywhere on the internet. Find his YouTubes. If you haven't watched an episode of Make48, I think you'll be shocked at how cool a show it is. It's pretty amazing, Tom, how you're filming all these things and then the show comes out and they put all these graphics and sounds and music and drama, right? Does that like blow you away every time you watch it?
Yeah, because when we're filming you, Warren, your ugly face, it comes out like you're a celebrity at the end. You're well tanned and the color coordinations and all that. But no, the production company we partner with and work very closely with, they do make a really good job. And yeah, there's there's 35 people on the film crews. I think 5 cameras floating around. So you think of the footage that they have to go through and piece together a story because there's no script. We have these little points throughout the weekend that we have to do, the tour run, the focus group, making pictures. But you think of that footage they have to go through and then the animation and all that. It's a big job putting together a TV series.
But it's pretty amazing to me, being someone, I came season 1, so I hadn't seen to see how smoothly it ran too. And although there's a lot of excitement, I wouldn't say there's the anxiety level in terms of the mechanics that are behind the scenes. It just, everybody seems very cool and it just seems to go really well.
Yeah, 4 seasons is different than the first season. Everyone knows their job. The production company knows exactly what to do. So it's all about the pre-planning and making sure that we're putting out fires basically during the weekend is what we're trying to look for. Not real fires, hopefully, but You know, a lot of people that come there, that 140 people, most of them are new because you got all new contestants. You got a lot of new mentors. We try to keep everything fresh. The tool techs, I think we had half of them were brand new tool techs that we've invited for a reason. A lot of them were contestants on previous seasons. But yeah, everyone's usually there for the first time. So it's trying to make it a smooth and good experience for everyone.
Carmine, you gotta participate someday. It's really,
That's awesome.
a lot of fun.
I
So
love watching it.
Carmine, I'll let you close us out. So thank you guys. This is awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, very cool. I mean, this was an awesome show. First off, thank you guys so much, Tom and Jimmy, for what you
Thank
guys
you.
are doing. Just talking
Thanks,
about this on here, letting inventors know to please go ahead and do it, but do it the right way. I think it's awesome. It's not just Warren and I saying it. I want people to realize that it's not us. These guys have super depth experience in this industry, and we're not discouraging you. Just do it the right way, and you will go so much farther. So again, thank you, Tom and Jimmy. It's such a
Thank you both.
it's a breath of fresh air for Warren and I to
please.
hear this all the time. So
Okay.
for all you guys out there, please go on out to Tom Gray's Make48.com, Mr. Jimmy DiResta. Go to Jimmy DiResta on YouTube. Go ahead and check him out. Make sure you subscribe. For Mr. Warren Tuttle, go to UIAUSA.org. And for me, just find me on YouTube, on the internet, on social media. I'd love to hear. I'd love to talk to you. For myself, for the Launch Network, I thank you. Go on out to the UIA and subscribe. It's free. Take care, everyone, and we will catch you next time